So let me go ahead and share this screen for Kilimanjaro. And let me tell you, Kilimanjaro was, Gail, do you see my screen? Okay, so my hike was more than I expected. It was absolutely amazing. 7 days, 5 days up, 2 days down. It was hard to climb up, but let me tell you, it was harder to come down. My knees hurt so bad. I was truly ready to quit hiking. Sally, I was trying to figure out how to get a hold of Cassie, who is over our ultimate hike, and tell her that she needed to find a new coach. I was ready to get hold of Gabe because Festo, my guide, was able to communicate with him to get in touch with my doctor to figure out how many opioids I could really take because my knees hurt so bad. But you know, I made it somehow. So here is, and I did the Machame. You say it was the Machame. I think I'm pronouncing that right. We started at the Machame gate, and this is the waiting game. So waited for my guide to get there. Then we came to the place where we start. And then I was probably waiting there an hour or two before we actually started. So, you know, it's a little bit cloudy back there. All is good. I found the American flag, took a picture of that. On the left side, you're going to see this type of sign as we go. Each camp had its own sign. So you can see the title up at the top. It says Machame Gate, and then it lists everywhere we're going to go. So each place we went, there's less black at the bottom because it lists all the way up. So you'll see that same picture all the way through. So of course, as we waited, it decided to rain, and it was raining by the time we started. Started from the Machame Gate on a road, which led us to this, this trail on the left-hand side, which then we got into the real trail where it was just rocks and dirt and everything. So glad I spent some money on a raincoat. I used that a couple times. So here we were when we got to Machame Camp. So the first day we hiked, it was about 4,000 feet up that we hiked. And I was just like, phew, this is tough, but I can do it. It's kind of like hiking on the AT this day. It was good. So you can see we are in the rainforest area. You look at the greenery, all is nice and pretty. Oh, and that picture was taken outside my tent. You can see I'm inside my tent there. This is the only food picture that I took. The food was decent all the way. I had a good chef. We had for lunch and dinner most nights, I had soup. This is probably a cauliflower soup or a vegetable soup on the left side, probably chicken soup on the right side. But what I love about this picture and why I took it on the left one was this pink little bowl. That kept everything warm. So my soup came in that, and I had that every meal. Soup came in it for lunch and dinner. My porridge would come in it, or I had warm milk in it, powdered milk, but warm milk for my cereal and for breakfast. If I had a stew, it came in it. And so I love that. I mean, it was just a small bowl, but it kept everything warm. And this is my first meal. I had tilapia, and I had a little bit of the salad. I didn't eat too much of the salad because it wasn't cooked. I didn't eat too much fresh things. And I probably ate about half the potatoes because I'm a low carb person. But, you know, you got to eat something. And it was good. You know, they like to fry their potatoes for Americans and tourists. They fry them a lot. They mash them for themselves, I think, or do different things, but ours is fried. I landed in Kilimanjaro Airport. I didn't see Kilimanjaro. The day I was there on my own, it was cloudy, didn't see Kilimanjaro. Finally, the first morning on the mountain, I finally see Kilimanjaro. So because it was cloudy and just couldn't, even when we were climbing, I didn't see it. So this is my first view the morning at Machame Camp of Kilimanjaro. So, and I was like, wow, I'm gonna hike that thing. And I did. So here we are going up to Machame Cave Camp, and it's just various pictures along the way. But on the left one, look at those stairs that we're climbing up, just stone stairs that we're going up. You see I have gaiters on. So from the first day, someone recommended I bring gaiters. So I had never worn them before. So I had my gaiters on and I put them on myself and I put them on wrong. So I don't know exactly, I don't remember if I put them on the wrong feet or I put them on backwards. I don't remember. But from the second day on, my guide Festo, who if anyone's going to go to climb Kilimanjaro, highly recommend Festo. He put my gaiters on every morning. He put my boots on every morning. It was wonderful. I will take it. So I took them off every night. But yes, I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but he put them on the first day, and then I thought I would do it from then on, but he took care of me. So here we are at going up still to Machame Cave Camp. You can see on the right-hand side, that's Festo in front of the falls. And he's like, yeah, give me your camera. I'll take a picture. I'm like, no, sometimes I just don't want to be in the picture. I'm tired. I'm done. So this picture of me, you will not see this shirt again. You won't see that hairband again. You won't see the pants that I was wearing again or the socks I was wearing again, because when it rains, it is so cold, it will not dry. They didn't dry. Even when we put them out on a sunny day, I'll show you when it was sunny, everyone was putting their clothes out to dry. They kind of dried, but not all the way. Festo said, well, put them underneath your sleeping bag, between your sleeping bag and your mat, and you'll dry the rest of the way. And I did, but I still didn't wear them because I had kept them in bags, just, I don't know if they smelled or not. Not everything dried, but the two things I slept on did. So we got to Machame Cave Camp, and then we rested had lunch, rested, and then we did an acclimatation hike, because when you're hiking in altitude, you want to hike high and sleep low. So that way you don't get altitude sickness. So we did an acclimation, whatever hike. Gail, you can say it later for me. And this was on the way to it. So my guide said like in 2000, I'm hoping it was earlier than that, before they had a lot of tents on the mountain for the tourists. He said that people were sleeping in these caves. But you would think about, and people as in tourists were sleeping in the caves. So this was pre-COVID. So you were all together and you were warm because of body heat inside the cave. So all was fine. Now after COVID, I don't think I want to sleep with 20 people inside of a cave. So here we are on top of the mountain when we were climbing. So this is me on the left-hand side on top of the mountain. We came back down and I saw sunset. It was just really pretty. And this was must have been the second night we were at Machame Cave Camp there. And what else was I going to take pictures of? So you're going to see lots of pictures of me and the landscape. So the next day we were going to Lava Tower, which is supposed to be cold. And it was, and I'll show you that later, but you can see how the landscape is changing as we go through this, getting more desert-like. These are a couple of the pictures I have of the porters carrying all of our stuff. And everywhere we went, they were carrying our stuff. They didn't have a separate, easier trail to go on. Someone said, well, why don't they carry it on their back? Well, because they're carrying backpacks on their back. So a lot of times they would have it on their head, they would move it to the back of their neck, they would put it back up to their head. And it was just me on my trip, but there were also 2 Tanzanians kind of in our group that were climbing, that you'll see pictures at the end of them. And so the porters were carrying all 3 of our stuff. I had my own tent, I had my own food tent to eat in, I had my own lots of other things I'll explain as we go on. So the porters carried it. I couldn't have done it without the porters, and I tipped them very well, and they deserved every penny of it. So here we are on our way to Lava Tower. I'm pointing to Lava Tower in the distance, so that's what we're hiking to. And by the time we got to Lava Tower, it was snowing. So started to rain, put it on, turned into snow. You can see the sign, it's got a little bit less on it. In the background on this right-hand picture, this was just for lunch. So you've got the one on the far left, that looks like a bathroom tent. So I had my own private bathroom. There was a food, the other green was probably a tent had table in it for people to eat lunch in. The blue tent was probably a cooking tent. And they put all this up for you for lunch, and then they took it all down when we got to Lava Tower. Yeah, there's a lot of work. So probably half of our porters came to Lava Tower to set everything up so we could eat. And then the other half moved on to wherever we went for the next one. I'll tell you in a minute because I don't remember. But when we were first starting, here you could see Lava Tower. It's nice and clear. The weather changes in an instant. Look at that. It was all fogged in from the rain coming in and the snow. So after Lava Tower, we went to Barranco Camp. What I don't have a picture of because it was so traumatizing is leaving Lava Tower. When we started hiking, we went down this rock slide thing that, they don't warn you ahead what you're doing. And you were truly walking down these big boulders and small boulders, and it was rough. I wasn't expecting it at all. And my hands were cold too. I remember that. So they say when you get to, you don't have to do an acclimation hike on this one because Lava Tower is high. And then when you get down to Barranco Camp, it's low. So we already did our high to low. These trees, I don't know the name of them, but they only grow in 10,000 feet and above. So those are 10,000, we're already at 10,000 feet and they were fun. I tried to swing on them and I realized I have no arm strength. So I'm going to Pilates now to get my arm strength up, but they were fun trees. He was telling me about them and then we actually were on them. So this is what we're at Barranco Camp. This is where we actually had some sunshine once we got there. So people were trying to dry all of their things. And we got there early enough that I was taking some video and I could walk around, and I stopped and I was talking to some people from Boston, and I talked to a couple different people at this camp. But here is just a video, a narration.
And this is Barranca Camp, about 13,000 feet up. That is the mountain we're going up tomorrow. Kilimanjaro was behind it, but it's covered. Down there is Moshi.
So this was at Barranco Camp. And these are truly the boulders that they put tents in between all of these boulders. I'm going to start the video over here. So that tent looks like a food tent. So that's where they set up probably a table and chairs for people. And they carried all this. Remember, the porters are carrying this from place to place for us. And I had because I was by myself, I had my own chair and my own food table. Lots of tents. I was never alone on the trail. I was never sleeping alone because people were all around me.
And this is Barranca Camp, about 13,000 feet.
Whoops. I wanted to show you some other things. Let's bring this up here.
Up.
So that right there, the way I look at it, I didn't have one, but that looks like a shower tent where they have a bladder or something there. And so people were taking a shower. I remember seeing someone come out of it. It was cold there, even though it was sunny, it was still chilly. And I would see, it was winter break, so there was a lot of college students as well. So the guys would come out of the shower, of course, bare chested. I was like, no, I need a jacket.
That is the mountain we're going up tomorrow.
And I'm not gonna finish that, but that was the video. So here is Barranco Camp. And I told you it had rained before, now it's sunny, so we had pretty rainbows at Barranco Camp. And then I put these arrows here because these are porters or anyone that had phone. Wherever you have reception, you'll see people on their phones. So this was a little wall as we were coming in. This is the way we came in, and you had reception. So after they set everything up, when they had their free time, they would go back and get the reception and talk to real people or whatever, and texting. So we had reception probably everywhere except for when we were at base camp. I don't think there was reception up there, but there's reception wherever you go. You know, it's the 21st century. So in this picture, you can see this is Barranco Wall. And this is when we didn't even start till probably 9 o'clock. I told them we're never starting that late again because we got caught up in all these people. And look at all those people climbing that wall. You can see them up in the top right-hand corner, them going up. Yes, we are I was rock climbing. My son rock climbs. I don't rock climb. I was rock climbing. So I'm glad I had my gloves on because we were he was holding my poles and I was just using my hands in sometimes of this. And you can see all the people. I ran somewhere on this wall. I ran into people from Anderson Township, which is in Cincinnati. When we got to the wall, I actually talked to them. And when we got off the hike, when we were done, I actually saw them at the end also. And we actually talked like real people, not on a mountain then. So that was exciting. But here we are. Yes, we are climbing. And here I am still climbing. And this was the kissing rock because you can see there was not much room to get through there. And we had to kiss the rock to go through it. And you can see the porters, they have all their stuff they have to turn. And sometimes when they're passing us, they actually turn their body also so they don't hit us with all of their stuff. And this was a flat area before we started going up again. You know, we have to go, you get to a flat area and then you would keep going. And we were still climbing. And yes, Festo had my camera half the time and he would just take pictures and I wouldn't even know it or what. And you can see me on the right-hand side, truly lifting my foot up on that rock because you get tired and you're above 13,000 feet here. So the air is thin and, you know, sometimes my legs didn't want to go up that high up that rock. So it just needed a little bit of help. So I helped it. So here we are after climbing the wall at Karenga Camp. And Karenga Camp must not have been very remembrance or whatever, outstanding, because I really don't remember it. Probably just so tired at Barranco Wall and then go to sleep and start again. So here we are, we went from Karenga Camp to Barafu, which is basically base camp. So Barafu is where your last place you go before you summit the mountain. So if you remember, we started in rainforest. Here we are, there's very little greenery. You don't even have those trees that are at 10,000 feet. You just have rocks. And then when we start climbing the mountain, you're gonna be in the Arctic zone. So here we are on our way up to Barafu. So on the right is when we're at Barafu Camp. And I'll show you pictures in a little bit, but I told you we had 2 Tanzanians with us. One of the guys, either at first I thought he had a stroke, not on the trail, but before. One of the guys from Anderson Township that I talked to said he thinks he had a brain injury because you could see the scar on his head. So really half of his body was barely being used and he climbed to the top. This was his 4th attempt. He made it 2 out of the 4 times is what I understand. The first time he tried it, he didn't make it because of the weather. I don't know what happened another time. But the last 2 times he made it up to the top. But probably because of him, and when you go summit, a lot of times you start around midnight. So it would be hard for him to get over these rocks. So I don't know if money was offered or just asking for it. We were able to go from Barafu to, I don't know the name of this next place, on the other side of these rocks. So if you look in the back, you see all those tents in the picture with me on the rocks, that's Barafu. So most of those people have to go over these rocks at midnight, go through our camp, and then start up the mountain. We were able to do this before lunch. The next place I had lunch here, and then slept, and then started up. I think we would go up on the left side, this black area. I think that's what we started up, but I can't guarantee exactly where we started. But we got there early. We got there probably around this. Well, we did get there around the same time as the porters because they couldn't go ahead of us because we had to wait to see where we were setting up camp, if we were going to set it up in Barafu or on the other side of the rocks. So we all got there at the same time. So there they are behind me setting up the tents. That was going to be the food tent where they were cooking. This is me in my fabulous chair that I sat in on occasion. That was inside my tent that I was eating in. On the left side, these were some tents that other people were sleeping in. And you can see the rocks that were around. And I told you I hiked in rain. I hiked in snow. I probably hiked in sleet. I didn't hike in hail, but there was hail when I took the hill. So I can't believe there was hail as well there. But this was probably before lunch or after lunch. So he sent me to bed to take a nap between lunch, and he was going to wake me up at 5. I didn't like to take a nap after lunch because the days that I didn't sleep that well. So I was just laying, and eventually I fell asleep, woke me up at 5, woke up, had dinner, sent me back to bed, woke me up again at 11, had a snack, and by midnight we were hiking up the mountain. So here we are hiking up the mountain. I told you that we were on the other side of the rock. So at times we were the first people on the mountain. I would let people go. We were the second group on the mountain. I was like, wow, I'm doing really well. Here we go. And I'm like, but I don't have to be the fastest. I don't have to be the first up there. I thought I was doing good until about halfway through and up, and it must have gotten really steep because I kept slowing down. And I was like, okay, we need a break. And I'm like, okay, keep going. Okay, I need a break. Little break, little break. I kept calling it. So you can see the picture. You can see people with all of their headlamps. You could turn around. And Sally, it was just like the ultimate hike in the morning. You just saw headlight lamps behind you, little lines of headlamps hiking. And we made it up to Stella Point for sunrise. So in the little insert is sunrise. On the right hand is up on the horizon. And Festo was taking these pictures of the horizon and everything because I had 2 pairs of socks on my feet. One was expedition weight socks that I got at REI. I had, I think, 4 layers on my legs. I had 5 layers on my top. I had mittens and gloves on my hands and a hand warmer thing inside there. I had 2 hats on my head. So there's no way I could take pictures. I couldn't hold a thing. I'm just like, okay, here we go. And I rented a coat because in Atlanta, you don't need a heavy size coat most of the time. So I just rented it while I was there. I think I used it maybe twice, once or twice before this, and then also for this climb, I just rented it. I'm like, I don't need it. So you'll see my coat in a few minutes. So here's my coat right here. We're at Stella Point, 18,885 feet. And here we are with Festo up at the top. And it was tough to get up there. And I heard another guide say, oh, it's easy from here on. You know, it's not, no more steepness, no more anything. So I'm like, cool, I can do it. Well, once we kept going, I was like, okay, little stop again, because the air is so thin by the time you get up there. So there was a group of about 20 in front of us, and I just let them pass us as we were going. And they were here, and then we waited for them to leave so we could take a picture. They got to Uhuru Point, Uhuru Peak, which is the top of the mountain, let them get all their pictures while I rested, and then they left and we did all of our thing. So there were a couple big groups on the mountain, so I tried to avoid those. So here Festo rode in the snow, Sherry to the top Kili, and then 2022 kind of as inspiration. I needed some inspiration, you know, it was tiring. I was really surprised, or not surprised, I don't know, but it was rough. I needed the inspiration to get up there. But here I am at 19,341 feet, happy as can be. They tell you to wear sunglasses so you don't burn your retina. So I had my sunglasses on, took them off for my picture, took my hat off for my picture. I'm a little bit vain, but I kept the coat on. and just amazing. And I'm going to blow up one of these pictures for my office to put it up there. And that was the most amazing thing. And like I said, the 20 people were up there taking their pictures when we got up there. I was like, when we got up there, Festo said something. I said, no, I want to go right there and I want to go sit. So sat down, and by the end, I wasn't even carrying my bag anymore. He carried my bag. Actually, this whole way up to Uhuru Peak, I didn't carry anything. He took my backpack, put the first aid kit in it. He had the emergency oxygen, which I didn't need. He had my bladder, which froze. He had my big water bottle, which is what I would be drinking out of. He wouldn't even give it to me. He would just put it up to my mouth so I could drink a little bit. So sat my butt down on a rock. I had him and my waiter he was my assistant guide, because I guess when you're hiking, you need forever so many people, you have to have that many people guides with you. So I guess with 1 or 2 people, you have to have 2 guides. I don't know with 3, because I call these girls the Make-A-Wish girls, because they had Make-A-Wish shirts on them, and I ran into them a couple times, found out they were raising money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So we were talking, and I met them at base camp. I was talking with them. They had just come down. So one of the girls made it to the top, and the other girl said she was having hallucinations. So before she even got to Stella Peak, so she had to go back down. So I get that's also another reason why you need more than one guide. So if you have to split up, they help each other. And they're always, I remember Festo at the beginning telling me how they're nice to each other, and friendly to each other, because if something happens to one of the guests, one of the tourists, instead of everyone taking the tour stopping and bringing everyone down, they'll take one person from like each group to bring the person down in a whatever they need to bring them down. So that way the rest of the tour can keep going up. So this was fun at the top. I told them they really earned, besides bringing me up there, coming back down from Uhuru Peak, back down to Stella Point, we just had fun. And I needed it, just having fun. So here I am on Uhuru top.
Good job, Sherry. Yoo-hoo! Hakuna Matata. Pole pole.
And pole pole in Swahili means slow, slow. And right now I've got my bracelet on that says pole pole, got me up there. You could hear, I didn't even hear it while we were there. When I started listening to this, you could hear the echo being so high up on the mountain. You can see in the right-hand side, that's a glacier. And on the other side is a big crater. People actually sometimes spend the night inside there instead of down below. So, and this is us just having fun. On the left-hand side, that was a bunch of rocks. So I climbed up there. I don't know how my legs got me up, but we climbed up there and took a bunch of pictures. I was like a star, photo shoot everywhere. The guy in the middle picture, the guy behind me, I don't know his name. He was my waiter. I had a chef, I had a waiter, I had a guide. So he was my assistant guide going up. You can see people behind me. So here I am in my full garb with all my layers on, and you can actually see the glacier behind you, which with global warming is rescinding. I watched a movie about Kilimanjaro on my flight back, and they were talking about how with global warming, how they came to ice hike, to ice climb up that glacier, and they had a hard time with it. And 5 years prior, they had done it and with no problems, which is interesting. So I wouldn't let them take very many pictures as we were going down. I can honestly tell you it was hard going up. It was harder coming down. So here's one of the pictures going down. Oh, it took us 8 hours to get up the mountain to the peak, 3 hours to get back down to base camp to base camp. We had a 2-hour rest. And then we took another probably 5 hours because I was super slow to come down to Mawaka camp to spend the night there. And then one more night to get down to the gate. So here's a picture on Mawaka camp. I can tell you inside my head, I told you some of those stories. I was ready to quit hiking. I was done. Here I am there. I could have cried. I wasn't drinking right. I didn't eat right. When I had the 2-hour break, I ate a little bit of lunch. I was hot. I didn't eat much. I wasn't drinking much. I didn't do anything right like I should have. I told you that my doctor gave me some opioids to help get me down if I needed it. Wasn't thinking. I sent those opioids down with the porter. So they weren't with me. I had ibuprofen in my pack, which wasn't enough. So I had some ibuprofen. When I got down here, the only reason I ate dinner is because I needed to roll out my legs, because I was rolling out my legs and also taking some electrolytes, because when I'm here, sometimes I cramp, and I did not want to cramp inside the tent. So I took the electrolytes, I took the ibuprofen. When I got down here, I took the opioid, which helped. I also took the ibuprofen. And the next morning, I just took ibuprofen and I was fine. But I needed it that night, and I can understand now. So from now on, if I ever do any of these big hikes, I'm going to be more coherent on what I'm doing. So I'm keeping it real here. You can see in these two pictures, I'm smiling, but it's not a real smile. I'm just like, okay, my lips are going to curl up a little bit, but I am in so much pain here. I am ready to quit hiking, and I'm ready to cry. I'm crying in my head, but I'm not crying outside. But it was rough. It really was.